Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a controversial topic, man. We're talking about why rich and successful dudes should think twice, maybe even 3 times before tying the knot. I know, some of you are already firing up the comments section, but hear me out. This isn't about bashing marriage, it's about having a real conversation about the potential downsides, especially for guys who've built something for themselves. We're gonna break down the risks, the legal hurdles, and the societal pressures that come with saying I do. So buckle up, grab your drink of choice, and let's get into it. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room: divorce. It's a topic that no one really wants to discuss, but it's a reality that many face. The dissolution of a marriage can be one of the most stressful and emotionally draining experiences a person can go through. It's not just about the end of a relationship, it's about the unraveling of a life that was once built together. Look, nobody walks down the aisle expecting to split up, but the reality is, it happens. A lot. People change, circumstances evolve, and sometimes, despite the best intentions, marriages fall apart. It's a harsh truth, but it's one that many have to face. The dream of happily ever after can sometimes turn into a nightmare of legal battles and emotional turmoil, and when it does, things can get messy, especially for guys with money. Financial stability, which once seemed like a blessing, can quickly become a curse. The division of assets, the scrutiny of financial records, and the constant worry about losing what you've worked so hard to build can be overwhelming. It's not just about splitting the bank account, it's about the potential loss of a lifestyle and future security. We're talking about divorce laws that often favor the lower-earning spouse, even if both parties contributed equally to the marriage. The legal system, in its attempt to be fair, can sometimes feel incredibly biased. It's as if the contributions made by the higher-earning spouse are undervalued, and the sacrifices made by both parties are not equally recognized. This can lead to feelings of resentment and injustice. It's like the system assumes that if you're successful, you must have cheated or screwed someone over to get there. This stereotype can be incredibly damaging. Success is often the result of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. Yet in the eyes of the law, it can sometimes be seen as a reason to penalize rather than reward. This can lead to a sense of disillusionment and frustration. Then there's alimony, the dreaded A word. Alimony can feel like a never-ending burden, a constant reminder of a failed marriage. It's meant to provide support, but it can often feel like a punishment. The idea of having to financially support someone you are no longer with can be a tough pill to swallow. It's basically court-ordered spousal support that can last for years, even a lifetime in some cases. The duration and amount can vary, but the impact is often the same: a significant financial obligation that can affect your ability to move on and rebuild your life. It's a system that, while intended to be fair, can sometimes feel incredibly one-sided. Imagine busting your ass for years, building a business, investing wisely, only to have a huge chunk of it handed over to someone else because of a piece of paper. It's not just about the money, it's about the principle. The idea that your hard work and dedication can be so easily divided can be incredibly disheartening. It's a reality that many face, but few are prepared for. It's enough to make you want to sign a prenup just thinking about it. Prenuptial agreements can provide a sense of security, a way to protect your assets and ensure that, in the event of a divorce, the division of property is fair and equitable. It's not about planning for failure, it's about being prepared for any eventuality. And don't even get me started on child support. Child support is meant to ensure that children are taken care of, but the system can sometimes feel incredibly unfair. The calculations can seem arbitrary, and the enforcement can be relentless. It's a system that, while well-intentioned, can sometimes feel like it's designed to punish rather than support. Look, I'm all for taking care of your kids, but the system can be a real kick in the nuts for guys. The financial burden, the constant scrutiny, and the feeling of being treated like a deadbeat can be incredibly demoralizing. It's a system that needs reform, a system that should be about fairness and support, not punishment and resentment. It's like they assume you're some deadbeat dad trying to dodge responsibility. This stereotype is not only unfair but also damaging. It paints all fathers with the same brush, ignoring the many who are dedicated, loving, and responsible. It's a narrative that needs to change, a perception that needs to be challenged. And the legal fees? Forget about it. The cost of divorce can be astronomical, with legal fees piling up and draining your resources. It's not just about the money, it's about the emotional toll, the stress, and the feeling of being trapped in a never-ending cycle of legal battles. Lawyers are like sharks circling a bloody piece of meat, man. They thrive on conflict, and the more contentious the divorce, the more they stand to gain. It's a system that can feel predatory, a process that can feel more about winning than about finding a fair resolution. They'll drain your bank account faster than you can say irreconcilable differences. The financial impact of divorce can be devastating, leaving you feeling vulnerable and uncertain about the future. It's a reality that many face, but few are truly prepared for. Divorce is not just the end of a marriage, it's the beginning of a new, often challenging chapter in life. So, you're successful, you've got your dream career, maybe a sweet bachelor pad, and the freedom to do what you want, when you want. Then, bam, marriage. Suddenly you've got expectations, responsibilities, and a whole lot less freedom. It's like trading in your Lamborghini for a minivan. Sure, the minivan is practical, it can haul the groceries and the kids, but it ain't exactly gonna turn heads on the open road, is it? Marriage can feel like a trade-off, man. You're giving up some of your autonomy, your ability to just pick up and go on an adventure, to pursue your passions without having to answer to anyone. And let's be honest, relationships take work, a lot of work. And when you're already putting in crazy hours building your empire, finding the time and energy to nurture a marriage can be tough. It's like having 2 full-time jobs, and one of them is emotionally draining as hell. Let's talk about hypergamy for a second. It's a term that might sound a bit academic or even intimidating, but it's really quite simple when you break it down. Hypergamy is essentially the practice of seeking out a partner of higher status, and it's something deeply ingrained in human nature, especially in women. This isn't just a modern phenomenon, it's been around for as long as humans have existed. It's a fancy word for a natural human instinct, and it basically means that women are wired to seek out high-status men. Makes sense, right? Think about it. In a world where resources were scarce and survival was uncertain, aligning oneself with a strong, capable partner was a matter of life and death. This instinct has been passed down through generations, and while the world has changed, the underlying drive remains the same. Back in the caveman days, it was about survival. The men who could hunt, gather, and protect were the ones who were most sought after. They were the ones who could ensure that their partners and offspring would survive and thrive. This wasn't just about physical strength, it was also about intelligence, resourcefulness, and the ability to navigate a harsh and unforgiving world. Women wanted a partner who could provide, protect, and ensure the survival of their offspring. This was a matter of biological necessity. A strong, capable partner meant a better chance of survival for both the woman and her children. This instinctual drive to seek out the best possible partner is something that has been hardwired into human behavior over millennia. Fast forward to today, and that instinct is still there, even if we don't like to admit it. In the modern world, the markers of high status have changed. It's no longer about who can hunt the biggest game or build the strongest shelter. Today, it's about financial stability, social status, and the ability to provide a comfortable and secure life. But the underlying drive remains the same. The problem is, once a woman has secured that financial stability, the power dynamic can shift. What was once a partnership based on mutual benefit can become something more transactional. The man who was once seen as a prize can start to be viewed as merely a provider. This shift can create tension and resentment, as the initial attraction and admiration give way to expectations and demands. Suddenly, the guy who was once the prize becomes the provider, the ATM, the guy who's expected to keep the money flowing while she enjoys the fruits of his labor. This can lead to a sense of imbalance in the relationship, where one partner feels taken for granted and the other feels entitled. It's a dynamic that can be difficult to navigate and can lead to significant strain on the relationship. And let's not forget about the leverage that kids can bring into the equation. Children can become pawns in a power struggle, with each parent trying to assert their dominance and control. This can create a toxic environment that is harmful to everyone involved, especially the children who are caught in the middle. Custody battles are brutal, and the courts often favor the mother. This can leave fathers feeling marginalized and powerless as they struggle to maintain a relationship with their children. The legal system can be biased, making it difficult for fathers to get a fair shake. This can lead to feelings of frustration, anger, and helplessness. It's like the system assumes that dads are incapable of nurturing and caring for their children, which is just bullshit. Fathers are just as capable of providing love, support, and guidance as mothers are. The idea that men are less suited to parenting is an outdated and harmful stereotype that needs to be challenged. It's time to recognize the important role that fathers play in their children's lives and to ensure that they are given the same opportunities and rights as mothers. We're bombarded with images of love and marriage from the moment we're born. Disney movies, romantic comedies, even those cheesy Hallmark commercials, they all paint this picture-perfect image of happily ever after. They show us grand gestures, perfect proposals, and love that conquers all. It's a beautiful dream, but how often does reality match up to that dream? But let's be real, folks. Real life is a lot messier than the movies. In reality, relationships are filled with ups and downs, arguments, and misunderstandings. The day-to-day grind can wear down even the strongest bonds. Love fades, people change. The honeymoon phase doesn't last forever, and those butterflies in your stomach eventually fly away. What you're left with is the real work of maintaining a relationship. And sometimes that deep connection you thought you had turns out to be about as deep as a puddle after a light rain. It's disheartening, but it's a reality many face. And when financial struggles hit, it can put a strain on even the most loving relationships. Money problems are one of the leading causes of stress and conflict in relationships. Or when one partner starts to resent the other's success, it can create a rift that's hard to bridge. Jealousy and insecurity can creep in, making it difficult to celebrate each other's achievements. That's when the cracks really start to show. The little things that were once endearing can become sources of irritation and conflict. Look, I'm not saying that all women are gold diggers, but let's be honest. When you're a successful guy, it's hard to know if someone's interested in you or in your bank account. It's a harsh reality that many face. When you have wealth and success, it can be challenging to find someone who loves you for who you are, not what you have. The fear of being used or taken advantage of is always lurking in the background. It's hard to know if someone's interested in you or in your bank account. It's a constant worry that can overshadow genuine connections. It's like walking around with a target on your back, man. You become hyper-aware of people's intentions, always questioning their motives. Everyone wants a piece of you, and it's hard to tell who's genuine and who's just playing the game. The constant attention can be overwhelming and isolating, and it's hard to tell who's genuine and who's just playing the game. In the end, finding true love in a world full of illusions and ulterior motives is a challenge, but it's a journey worth taking. So, if marriage is such a gamble, what's the alternative? Well, here's a revolutionary thought. You can have a fulfilling, loving relationship without the piece of paper. No lawyers, no alimony, no messy custody battles. Just two people choosing to be together because they genuinely enjoy each other's company. Now I know what you're thinking, Joe, you're out of your mind. What about the security? What about commitment? Listen, commitment isn't about a legal document, it's about a choice you make every single day to show up for the person you're with. And if you're really worried about protecting your assets, there's always the prenup. It's not exactly romantic, but it's a hell of a lot less messy than a divorce. Look, I'm not saying marriage is wrong for everyone. But for successful guys who value their freedom, their finances, and their peace of mind, it's worth thinking long and hard before taking the plunge. So there you have it, folks. The good, the bad, and the ugly of marriage, especially for successful dudes. Look, at the end of the day, the decision of whether or not to get married is a personal one. There's no right or wrong answer, but if you're a guy who's worked his ass off to achieve success, it's crucial to go into it with your eyes wide open. Understand the risks, protect yourself legally, and most importantly, listen to your gut. If something doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to walk away. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.